Hi, everybody. Welcome to June's Week 1 Vibecast. The main events for this week include the new moon in Gemini and a couple of planetary stations. We have Saturn stationing retrograde in Aquarius, and we have, around the same time, be experiencing a messy and long and dragging ass Mercury direct. So let's start off. We kick off the week with a new moon in Gemini. That's the morning of May 30th on Monday at 9 degrees. And I did mention this at the end of the last forecast in case you had time to do any of your new moon rituals over the weekend. But if you did miss it, there's still time. Here is your reminder. As you all know, new moons are for new beginnings. So you may notice a subtle new beginning happening in your life if you're paying attention. And the new beginning is probably relevant to the topics of the house that Gemini rules in your natal chart, in your whole sign natal chart. And you may have been very tired leading up to this new moon as well, because new moons are more about rest, and the dark moon is not being seen as much. Just kind of rest and rejuvenate and plan for the future. But Gemini new moon topics could include like new forms of technology or ways of communicating or new ways of traveling. Learning new information is definitely common with new moons in Gemini. Or doing anything new having to do with your hands, your fingers, your wrists, or your lungs. This is a good time for breath work and for any journaling exercises or talk therapy. Cleaning is a beneficial thing to do also during a new moon, cleansing out the space for the next lunation. Or also for the fact that it's in Gemini, maybe cleaning your car would be a good way to work with the universe here. Or cleaning your method of transportation, whatever that is. Maybe they could use some extra love. So for example, if you're a Taurus rising, this new beginning will be felt with your resources. So that could be your money or your income or your finances. Or you might be noticing something new happening with your diet or with your food or some sort of material possession that you wanted or have. And if you're a Capricorn rising, you may notice a new beginning with your daily routine, maybe due to work in some way or due to your health or vitality changing, or maybe new goals that you've made or just circumstances outside of your control, possibly changing your routine somehow. If you're a Leo rising, maybe you're noticing a new beginning with friends or a group or a person in power that you know, or a network that you're involved with. If you're not necessarily noticing a new beginning happening in your life somehow around these days, this is an opportunity for a new beginning for you to plant an intentional seed of something you want to manifest over the coming 2 weeks. Again, check the Gemini whole sign house in your chart to know which topic this new moon has in store for you. And I recommend a new moon ritual if you have one. A simple one is to light a candle with the intention of whatever you want to manifest a day or two around the new moon. You only need to light one candle and just mean that candle. Just mean it when you light it. No need for multiple candles. So that's what we have for the beginning of the week. We have that new moon kicking us off. And then the next night on Tuesday, May 31st, the moon moves into Cancer. So we will wake up on Wednesday, June 1st, with some real cozy vibes. This is always a nice, comfy, coming home feeling, whatever feeling that is for you, whether it's like cuddling on the couch, watching your favorite movies, or cooking and eating your favorite food, or spending some time alone or with your loved ones. Just cozy recharge vibes are accessible with the moon moving into Cancer for Wednesday, June 1st. And those vibes are pretty necessary to prepare us, I guess, this week for when Mercury comes to a halt in order to change directions in the late night of Thursday, June 2nd, and the early morning of Friday, June 3rd. Although we are excited for Mercury stationing direct, there are still some things to keep in mind. Let's start with my first point, A. Yes, Mercury is beginning to move forward, the process of beginning to move forward, which is great news for Gemini risings and Virgo risings and those whole sign houses in our charts. But, B, when Mercury stations, it stops moving and it hangs out at 26 degrees Taurus until June 8th. So the station doesn't just happen overnight, it takes about a week. And so Mercury comes to a halt in order to change directions and start moving forward again. Like if your car was moving backwards in the reverse gear, you would not switch gears in drive as it was moving in reverse. You would have to, stop first, unless you want to fuck up your transmission. So Mercury has to do the same thing, put on the brakes first. So amidst this restart, there may be some sort of hiccup or challenge or block or delay around something in your life, or technology could be acting up. Miscommunications are likely. DoorDash is always terrible for me during Mercury stations. I can never get food from DoorDash. Things like that. I swear, every time Mercury stations, the next 3 DoorDashes I get just don't come to me, or I get someone else's order, the whole thing. Yes, I'm bitter about it. Just know, though, these hiccups for Mercury stationing won't last too long. We are in the home stretch, and we are almost to the finish line. This is just the crescendo finale for the retrograde, but also, I have another point, C. Mercury is stationing directly on top of Algol, Medusa's fixed star. This fixed star can represent anxiety, intensity, or overwhelm to the point of losing one's head. It indicates ruminating, which means to think about or to consider something over and over and over again. Sometimes we really think we're doing something to help ourselves when we repeatedly force ourselves to face the thoughts or worries that plague us. And sometimes we do come up with solutions, but other times we just torture ourselves to the point where we break. So it's helpful to catch yourself during these rumination thought loops, because most of the time our anxieties will block us from the real solution until we are calm and grounded. So Algol can represent these thought patterns or extremes or intensity, but it can also represent self-protection. I have an altar set up for Algol, to have a relationship with Algol, to ask her for protection against people I need to be protected from. So it's not all bad. Just know that there's these two sides, and if you feel so called, maybe now's the time to, learn more about Algol, Medusa's fixed star. So you may be feeling this yourself or noticing it in other people around you. People with planets or points in Gemini and Virgo, or around 26 degrees of Taurus, or the other fixed signs, that's Leo, Scorpio, and Aquarius, could be noticing this the strongest. This Mercury station will probably be pretty intense all the way up until June 8th, so keep your grounding tools at hand. Hopefully you can have some extra patience for yourself and other people during the coming days after this. And again, consider getting to know Algol a little bit better too. So for some examples, if you're an Aquarius rising, you may be noticing this at home or with your property or your family in some way. If you're a Pisces rising, you'll be noticing this extra with your mental health. Your brain might be running a mile a minute, extra rumination happening. Or you could be noticing it in your immediate environment, with your siblings or your extended family or your neighbors, possibly in your schooling or your method of transportation. If you're an Aries rising, you may be noticing this with your resources, your money, your income, your material possessions, your diet, your food. If you're a Scorpio rising, you may be noticing this in your relationship or with friends or with clients. That same day, on Friday, June 3rd, the moon moves into Leo around 12 p.m. Pacific time. Dynamic energy will be more at our disposal with the moon in Leo, more extroverted energy for socializing or being seen. It might usher in some topics that are the Leo Aquarius axis for you. So when the moon moves into Leo, the whole sign opposition to Saturn in Aquarius comes up. So that's kind of the threshold for the next day, actually. So on Saturday, June 4th, Saturn stations retrograde at 25 degrees Aquarius. And right off the bat, I want to say that this station might not coincide with a particular event. So there's less need to fear this station in comparison to like the Mercury direct, in my opinion. Saturn stations retrograde for months out of every year, so it's not like an uncommon occurrence, and it stays retrograde for months. It also moves very slowly, so it usually speaks to a longer cycle at play. The cycle has to do with Saturnian themes like hard work, isolation, foundation building, with the Aquarius house in your chart. The longer cycle at play began when Saturn first moved into Aquarius at the end of March 2020, and again when it moved into Aquarius in December of 2020. So you can think back to those days and kind of think back to what kind of cycle's going on for you for this station. Capricorn and Aquarius will be feeling this station the most viscerally in their body with their vitality. They might find this weekend that their vitality is lower than they need, or that they need more alone time and rest. Libra risings may be noticing this shift with their hobbies, with their pleasures, with their desires, with what they do for fun, with their dating or their sex life, or with their creativity and their art. Sagittarius may be noticing a shift with their mental health. Maybe some hard work is paying off, some change in perspectives, the way that your mind works, and this shift will ripple through to your immediate environment, the people that they engage with, and the perspectives on all of that. Might also be a shift with your mode of transportation, Sag risings. Capricorn risings specifically may be noticing this shift with their resources, with their finances, with their income, or their material possessions, or their diet and food habits. This is just another chapter in the 3-year story that will wrap up in early March 2023, having to do with the whole sign house that Aquarius rules in your chart. So with Saturn things, the longer cycle may be hard to discern at this point, but looking back as time passes will definitely give you all the answers. Saturn moves very slowly and doesn't just give you the answer right away, but you can kind of see what the cycle is up to by now, I'd say. We're past halfway. And our last vibes to discuss this week are the evening of Sunday when the moon moves into Virgo and the sun sextiles Chiron at 15 degrees Aries. The moon moving into Virgo will feel like a bit of a relief from any challenges that came up this weekend, assisting with a productive start to the next week. It's always nice, making to-do lists, organizing, hopefully being able to put your ducks in a row. Meanwhile, the sun is sextiling Chiron, bringing in some healing energy around everything going on. Whenever Chiron is mentioned, I also have to bring up the mentor-mentee dynamic. You could be in a position over the weekend or at the beginning of next week where you are mentoring or helping someone, or you're in contact with your own mentor, helping process everything that has shifted this week with all the stations. Chiron's more about inner wounds, so not necessarily something happening to you, but possibly some sort of trigger. But it'll be gentle because it's a sextile. So I'm thinking more that, a pleasant conversation that helps you move forward in something that you're processing, possibly. Kind of a nice way to wrap up the week. So that's week 1 of June. We're already in June. May went so fast. Don't forget, Mercury will be on Algol all week, pretty much until next week, June 8th. So be patient, keep your grounding tools handy. So, are you expecting anything to come up for you with these stations? Do you have any Mercury retrograde stories you want to share? Please drop them in the comments. Or if you want more support, you can join the 9th House Discord server. The link is in the description. You can chat with me or other super cool people, help process all these astro events. So, that's all I have this time. And thank you for being here. I will see you next week. Have a good week, everybody. Bye.